We're going to do the B pre-trip on the Class B truck. This is the Class B truck we have here in Avilex. First thing we're going to inspect is going to be the side of the truck, and then we're going to inspect the back of the truck. First thing we're going to mention is my marker light. I have one on the other side. The cover is clear in color, but the light bulb is amber in color because it's facing the front of the vehicle. I want to make sure they're not cracked or broken and they're securely mounted, no missing hardware. The light bulb is amber in color because it's facing the front of the vehicle. The function of these lights is going to be my left turn signal, my right turn signal, my forward flashers, and my running lights. From here, I'm going to start inspecting my mirrors. I'm going to make sure my mirrors, they're securely attached to the arm securely attached to the vehicle, no missing hardware. My mirrors, I'm going to make sure they're not cracked or broken and they're securely mounted to the arm. Now I'm going to start inspecting my door. I'm going to make sure my door is open and closed properly. My door handle is not cracked or broken and is securely mounted, no missing hardware. From there, I will inspect it, my inside seal and my outside seal. I'm going to make sure they're not excessively worn or torn and they're at full contact to the vehicle. From there, I'm going to start inspecting my steps. My steps, I'm going to make sure they're not cracked or broken and they're securely mounted, no missing hardware. They're free of debris, grease, or any other contamination. Now I'm going to inspect my fuel tank. My fuel tank, I'm going to make sure it's not cracked or broken and it's not leaking. My fuel tank is securely mounted by the straps. I have 3. 1, 2, and 3. My straps, I'm going to make sure they're not cracked or broken and they're securely mounted, no missing hardware. If my fuel tank was loose, I will see shiny metal. This one right here is my fuel cap. My fuel cap is on the lock position. I'm going to be open it to make sure I have the safety change. And my rubber seal for my fuel cap is not excessively worn or torn and it will not leak. From here, first thing I'm going to start inspecting is this one right here. The light right there is amber in color because it's facing the front of the vehicle. That's my clearance light. It's not cracked or broken and it's securely mounted. This section right here is the ball head of the vehicle. I'm going to make sure it's not cracked or broken and it's securely mounted, no missing hardware. And I'm going to inspect the side of the vehicle. I'm going to make sure it's not cracked or broken and it's securely mounted, no missing hardware. From there, I will inspect my DOT tapes around my vehicle. I'm going to make sure they're full contact to the vehicle, no excessively worn or torn. From there, I'm going to come into the bottom. First thing I'm going to inspect on the bottom, from the front to the back, is going to be the cross members of the vehicle. I want to make sure they're not cracked or broken and they're securely mounted, no missing hardware. Now I'm going to inspect my frame. My frame on this side of the vehicle, I'm going to make sure it's not cracked or broken and it's securely mounted, no missing hardware, no legal holes or legal welds. From the frame, I'm going to inspect my depth tank. My depth tank, I'm going to make sure it's not cracked or broken and it's securely mounted. And I'm going to make sure it's not leaking. I'm not allowed to drive the vehicle while less than 1/4 of the tank on the depth. The cap for my depth tank is on the lock position, it's not cracked or broken, and it's securely mounted. The rubber seal inside is not excessively worn or torn, and it will not leak. This one right here is my battery box. My battery box is not cracked or broken, and it's securely mounted, no missing hardware. From here, I'm gonna walk in a little bit to the back, and then I will inspect my exhaust system. My exhaust system coming from the front all the way to the back. I'm going to make sure it's not cracked or broken and it's securely mounted by hinges and straps. I'm going to make sure all of it, they are not cracked or broken and they're securely mounted, no missing hardware. It's one section of my exhaust system. It was leaking. I will see a black soot. Now I'm going to inspect my drive shaft. My drive shaft is not cracked or broken and is securely mounted, no missing hardware, and is securely mounted by 3 U-joints. I have one in the front, one in the middle, and one in the back. My U-joints, I'm gonna make sure they're not cracked or broken, they're securely mounted, no missing hardware, and they're properly greased. From here, we're gonna walk in to this light right here. This is a marker light. I have one on the other side. They're amber in color because it's on the middle of the vehicle. I'm gonna make sure there's no crack or broken, and they're securely mounted, no missing hardware. The function of my clearance and my marker lights is gonna be my left turn signal, my right turn signal, my forward flashers, and my running lights. From here, I'm gonna put myself inside, and I was gonna start inspecting the section right here. This one right here is my dual brake chamber. My dual brake chamber I'm gonna make sure it's not cracked or broken or leaking, and it's securely mounted, no missing hardware. The two straps for my brake chamber, I wanna make sure they're not cracked or broken, they're securely mounted, no missing hardware. The hose right there, that's my brake chamber hose. I wanna make sure it's no abrasions, bulges, cuts, or leaks, and it's securely mounted, no missing hardware. Behind my brake chamber is gonna be my push rod and my slack adjuster. I wanna make sure they're not cracked or broken, they're securely mounted, no missing hardware. If I pull in it from there, it should be no more than 1 inch of the play when my brakes are released, and they're securely mounted by 2 pins and 2 cutter pins. From there, I want to inspect this one right here. This one is my leaf spring hanger. I have one here and one in the back. My leaf spring hangers, I'm gonna make sure they're not cracked or broken, and they're securely mounted, no missing hardware. This one right here is my leaf spring bushing. My leaf spring bushing, I'm gonna make sure it's not excessively worn or torn, and it's securely mounted, no missing hardware. This one right here is my leaf spring hanger, my leaf springs. My leaf springs, I'm gonna make sure they're not cracked or broken or shifting, and they're securely mounted by the shim, 2 U-bolts, spacers, and 4 nuts. From here, I'm just gonna point it right here in the middle, and it's gonna be my inside axle seal and my outside axle seal. I'm gonna make sure my axle seal is not cracked or broken or leaking, and is securely mounted, no missing hardware. If my axle seal was leaking, I will see puddle or spin trail. If my axle seal was leaking, I will send it to the mechanic or a shop. I could not service myself. From there, I'm gonna go inside again. And we're gonna start inspecting the brakes. The brakes and the brake drum. First thing I'm gonna inspect is my brake pads. This is the brake pad. My brake pad is not cracked or broken, and is securely mounted, no missing hardware. It's not allowed to have less than 1/4 of the inch of the thinnest point on the material. This is my brake drum. My brake drum is not cracked or broken, and is securely mounted, no missing hardware. Between my brake pads and my brake drum is free of debris, grease, or any other contamination. My brake drum doesn't have any sign of decoloration indicating the overheating problem. From here, I'm going to inspect my 2 rims. This is my inside rim, my outside rim, my inside rim, and my outside rim. My 2 rims, I'm going to make sure they're not cracked or broken, doesn't have any illegal holes or illegal welds, and they're securely mounted by the lug nuts. All my lug nuts, they're pressed. They're on the tight position. They're not cracked or broken. They're securely mounted. They're holding my 2 rims and my brake drum in place. From here, I want to mention that between my 2 rims is no daylight, full contact. And now I'm going to inspect my 2 tires. This is my inside tire, the face of my tire, my outside of the tire, my inside tire, the face of the tire, and the outside of my tires. I want to make sure there's no abrasions, bulges, cuts, or leaks. They're securely mounted to my rims. I want to make sure in between my 2 tires they're free of debris or any other contamination. Now, this is a dry tires. They're allowed to be regrouped, recap, or retread, but they're not allowed to have less than 230 seconds, the 430 seconds of the deepest point. From here, from the tire, I'm gonna make sure and inspect the air specification on my tire. It should be 120 psi or manufacturer specification. To check the air on my two tires, I will check it through the valve stumps. I have two. I have one in here and the other one in there. My valve stumps, I'm gonna make sure they're not cracked or broken or leaking, and they're securely mounted, no missing hardware. The cap for my valve stump, I'm gonna make sure it's on the lock position, it's not cracked, broken, or leaking, and it's securely mounted. From here, we're gonna go inside again, and then first thing we're gonna inspect is gonna be the my shock absorber mounts and my shock absorbers. I'm gonna make sure they're not cracked or broken, they're securely mounted, no missing hardware, and my shock absorber is not leaking. This one right here is my airbag mounts and my airbags. I'm gonna make sure they're not cracked or broken, they're securely mounted, no missing hardware. My airbag, I'm gonna make sure it's no abrasions, bulges, cuts, or leaks. From there, we're gonna inspect the mud flat. Because it's a rubber mud flat, I'm gonna make sure it's not excessively worn or torn, and it's securely mounted, no missing hardware. My mud flat is gonna be a proper distance to the tire and a proper distance to the ground. From there, we're gonna come into the back of the vehicle. Here on the back of the vehicle, first thing we want to inspect it is my clearance lights. My clearance lights, they're red in color because they face in the back of the vehicle. I'm gonna make sure they're not cracked or broken and they're securely mounted, no missing hardware. My door for my vehicle, I'm gonna make sure it's not cracked or broken and it's securely mounted, no missing hardware. My latch for my door is on the lock position, it's not cracked or broken and it's securely mounted, no missing hardware. From there, I'm gonna inspect my lights. This light, the clear light, and that clear light, it represents my reverse. I'm gonna make sure they're not cracked or broken, they're securely mounted, no missing hardware. The red lights, I have one in here and one on the other side. I'm gonna make sure they're not cracked or broken, they're securely mounted, no missing hardware. They represented my left turn signal, my right turn signal, my forward flashers, and my running lights. This section right here, that's my DOT bumper. My DOT bumper, I'm gonna make sure it's not cracked or broken, and it's securely mounted, no missing hardware. I will inspect this side of the vehicle. That's the way I inspect the other side. This completes my brief pre-trip.